Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have 3 brand new knives that dropped today. We have the Civivi Hid, the Civivi Pragma, and the Syncut Cybrix. Today we're going to focus on the 2 Civivis. The Hid is yet another design from Ostap Hel. I like a lot of his stuff. This is a monster, coming in at 9.83 inches long. It has a whopping 4.14 inch sheep's foot blade of 14C 20-10 blade steel. Now let's get into the details. First off, let's talk about this blade. The sheep's foot design is versatile and perfect for a variety of tasks. One thing I love about this knife is the fact that the blade's edge sits below the handle scales, giving you knuckle clearance like on a kitchen knife, so you should be able to cut most things on a flat cutting surface without coming in contact with your knuckles or the scales. You have fullers on both sides of the blade, mainly for aesthetics. You have not 1, but 3 sets of functional jimping up top. You have some right here if you're choked up. You have some in the middle right there. Then you have some for this pointer finger grip if you need to do those pull cuts. It's nice and grippy jimping. You're not going to slide on those. I have a black washed version. There are non-coated versions as well. If you're interested in any of these knives, I will have all 3 of them linked down in the description. They will be an affiliate link, so if you want to help support what I do here on this channel, that is pretty much the only way to do so. If not, no big deal. The tip on a sheep's foot is excellent for doing detailed cuts when precision actually counts. You have a perfectly executed sharpening choil. That's how it's done. The plunge grind's brought all the way back, so you can better sharpen it all the way here before you even think about widening. Pretty much the life of the knife. This wide blade right here has a very high, it's pretty much a full flat grind because it goes into this fuller, comes down nice and thin to around 12 thousandths behind the edge. So this thing's going to be a slicing machine. Let's find out. Holy smokes, is this thing a slicing machine. Not to mention, it came with an outstanding edge from Civivi. Love seeing that. That makes me happier than y'all will ever know. And you got such a large blade that you're going to be able to do this type of stuff forever. Nah, I'm just kidding. But you'll be able to do it for a good while. 14C holds a really good edge, and after this review, I'm going to lay this edge back. I don't know what it's at right now, but I'll probably lay it back to about 17 degrees, maybe 16 degrees per side, and put a nice polished edge on it because 14C can handle a nice polished edge. Yeah, it's going to be nice. So now we're testing the ergos, and of course, I don't think this is really made for this type of stuff, but I don't know if you saw those first 2. The knife wanted to bite so deep so fast that I had to stop. It kind of stopped itself, but it was pretty impressive. I had to use very, very light pressure. When I started increasing the pressure, it was comfortable for pretty much all of it, except the very end. I mean, it is kind of narrow in the scale area. And like I said, I don't think this is what this is for. I think it would be great as a camp knife, food prep knife, EDC if you want. I mean, I carried this a good bit and I enjoyed it. And this is where I really noticed how slicey and how sharp the edge was. And I'm showing right here, you can do this on a flat cutting surface. I don't remember if I lifted it up for the rope or not. If I do lift it up, it's just because it just makes my life easier. But you definitely have the clearance. If you're in a pinch grip, the edge, it sits below the scale, so it's kind of like a kitchen knife. It works really well in that manner. And then I love that jimping up front. When you see me doing that pointer finger grip, I'm putting my finger on that jimping. Allows me, if you're going to do a slicing motion cut, it makes it where you're not going to have to worry about your finger sliding there. And yeah, this thing is performing outstanding. I mean, if you look at the back part of the edge where the sharpening choil is, you can see how incredibly thin this blade is. You know, that's why at Blade Show, whenever I got to check this out, I was so excited because I was looking at the grind and looking at the edge, and I knew, you know, Civivi's known for grinding nice thin blades. So I just had a great feeling about this one. Ostap Hel, I love a lot of his stuff. Super popular knife maker, and his designs are sometimes polarizing, but this one I love it. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing a smaller version of this too. So you can do the chopping, slicing motions very easy, and this is sped up, but look how fast I'm going. This is sped up 2 times, not any more than normal. And I'm blasting through this material so darn quick that it's even gotten me stumped. So yeah, to say I enjoyed this one is definitely an understatement. Outstanding performance, great slicer, and comfortable for pretty much everything I did. When it comes to the deployment of this knife, it's super smooth thanks to these thumb studs and the cage ceramic ball bearings that the blade rides on. This thing comes out with authority and is super smooth on the way down. Also has a ceramic detent ball which aids in that glassy smooth action. The thumb studs are easily accessible on both sides, and they dial the detent perfect for such a big blade. Take a look at the handle area. You have G10 scales, smooth here, some texture here for some grip. That's where you pretty much could be sitting. So I like the way they did that. You got nice large chamfers everywhere, so you don't have many sharp areas, maybe besides where the chamfer ends. But during all the cutting, it was pretty darn comfortable up until I really started bearing down. But like I say most of the time, that is usually the case for most knives. If you look at this, you have super minimal construction. You have a T8 pivot and a T8 body screw / clip screw. That's your only other body screw, which is pretty crazy for such a long knife. You got a massive stop pin up here, giving it that rigidity up here in the front. Then you have a barrel spacer that is also being used for this clip. And then you have a lanyard pin as well. No flex anywhere. We have a tip up deep carry wire pocket clip. I love a wire pocket clip. I can't recall seeing a wire clip on any Civivis. I'm sure there may be some somewhere. It is reversible and it sits nice and deep in the pocket. Now, being that it's such a wide blade, it is going to hog up pretty much the entire pocket, or at least mine. So we have flow-through construction, and we have a nested stainless steel locking liner, as you can see there. But if you look on this side, there's absolutely no liners, so they're trying to help keep the weight down as much as possible. And they managed to keep the weight down to 5.2 ounces. That's outstanding for such a massive knife. The lockup on my knife, I'd say, is sitting around 50, maybe 60%. And the access to that lock bar is outstanding because this comes down a little bit lower. You got a chamfer right there, so it's nice and comfortable for me to get my thumb in there. And the lockup on this thing is a bank vault. Now for some quick size comparisons. We have the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout and the Kaiser XL Sheepdog. It's bigger than the XL Sheepdog, and it's just a hair shorter than the 4MAX Scout. Next up, we have the Maxxay Sandstorm K, which is pretty much identical in length. And then we have the Cold Steel SR1 Light, which is a little bit smaller. Next, both the Cold Steel Spartan and the Maxxay's Goliath are just a little bit longer. And last, just for giggles, we have the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. When it comes to nitpicks and complaints, I really don't have any because everything that I really look for in a good knife, this one does it and does it well. In summary, this is a fantastic option for anyone in the market for a versatile, well-built folding knife with smooth deployment, thoughtful design, and excellent blade performance. For me, it really checks all the boxes. They're coming in at $85, and I think that's a very reasonable price for what you're getting here. Like I said earlier, if you're interested in this knife, check the links below. Well, this is going to be Goliath, and this will be David with the all-new Civivi Pragma. On the total other end of the spectrum, this one's coming in at 5.72 ounces, and when I saw that, I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to check it out. Well, boy, I'm glad I did. Find out why in just a second. So we got a short 2.2-inch Warncliffe blade of Nitro V stainless steel. Should be legal in a lot of areas, especially ones that can carry a locking knife. We have a nice functional row of jimping up top. This is going to be an excellent utilitarian blade shape. Very needle-like tip for doing precision detailed cuts. You have a decent sharpening choil. Should give you ample amount of sharpening before it'll start to widen up back here. And once I started taking the measurements of this, then I started getting excited. You have a very thin blade here coming in at 0.09 inches, so that's about bug out thin with a full flat grind. So this thing comes down nice and thin to around 13 thousandths behind the edge. I don't know about y'all, but I want to see what this thing can do. Initially, I had told Civivi that I did not want to check this knife out, but I'm glad they sent it. I was not expecting a whole lot because it's a small little knife, But this thing with the thin blade stock and the super thin full flat grind slices, I can't even put it into words. This thing is just a slicing demon. I mean, it's a lightsaber, hot knife through butter. I mean, gliding through the material. Now, it's going to have your full power from heel to tip because it's a straight edge. So nice. It's going to be great in the in-hand cuts and, of course, the detail work. This thing is really, really going to shine. I'm interested to see how it's going to feel in hand, but let's do some detail stuff. Watch this. Just the tracing materials. I mean, effortless, no problem whatsoever. I mean, drag cuts is really, really going to shine, and I mean, I'm showing it here. Not to mention, this thing is very, very sharp. Once again, Civivi's been doing a great job. Now we're going to test those ergos right here. And, you know, even though I would mind a little bit longer of a handle, I could still kind of cram 4 fingers on there. And I have a solid enough grip. You can make feather sticks rather easily. And I even get a good bit of force into the wood. I mean, not as much as, say, the Hid, but, you know, it's perfect. It's good enough. Let's say that. You know, it's not supposed to be a hard use folder by any means. Just something to have on you when you need to make a quick cut. Not going to scare anybody. And when I transitioned into the sisal rope, this 1/2-inch sisal rope didn't even feel like it was there. Look how fast I'm cutting through it. You know, I did put it up on the block because that edge is not sitting below the handles. So I would have came in contact with my knuckles. It would have just made it very hard. So lifting it on the block was a smart decision in my opinion. I'm not going to do anything like this on a flat cutting surface. It's just not going to happen. It's too miserable. I get blisters way too fast. But yeah, this is where I was like, wow. This has performed better than I think most Civivis that I've tested in a while. And that's saying a lot because Civivis perform really good. Just now we tested the Hide and it performed great. You know, or is it the Hid, Hide? Yeah, I'm impressed. I can't say enough about it. Hopefully they all come this sharp, and any of y'all that pick this up, y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. Like I said, I was not gonna check this knife out. Sometimes I'm glad they don't listen to me because this would have been one I wouldn't experience. I would have just had to hear it from some of the other reviewers. And I'm sure if any of the other reviewers actually test this one, they will say the same thing because it is very impressive. Man, that leather can be difficult for some knives, but not this one. And I am showing that you can kind of do stuff on a flat cutting surface. You're just not going to be able to get a bunch of enough of the edge on it to do the bigger cuts like these. But none of this stuff gave it any issues whatsoever. I was kind of worried about the denim because it is a sharp blade, but you know, no problem. It might have taken an extra cut just because it smushes the denim. But other than that, outstanding job. Once again, 2 for 2 with both of the Civivis. Great performers. You will not be disappointed. This thing is a slicing machine. I absolutely had a blast testing this one. Now let's check out the action. Dual thumb studs. And I mean, this thing rockets out. When you release that button lock, of course, it's a free dropper riding on ceramic cage ball bearings. And you have a glassy smooth and, I mean, snappy little action on this one. You have aluminum scales that have lightning holes on it. So this thing weighs absolutely nothing, coming in at 1.92 ounces. Yeah. A complete featherweight because there's no liners underneath there. Just this little back spacer to house this carabiner and a lanyard right here. And also this carabiner doubles as a bottle opener. When I saw this in pictures, I was like, nah, that's a gimmick knife. But I did wear this on the belt loop of my lightweight shorts, and I hardly noticed it was there. I hang keys there anyway. This is actually lighter than my key fob that I carry every day anyway. This would also fit in a small micro EDC pouch and would be a great option because of its lightweight nature. Now, even though it does have a fairly small handle, I can get a 3.5 finger grip on there, and y'all saw in the testing, for the most part, I could do pretty much everything I could do with a full-size knife. Now, if you have large, extra large hands, it may be a little cramped for you. They did a good job of softening the edges, chamfers going all the way around. And even though it's a tiny knife, they kept the T8 hardware throughout. Outstanding job. Let's take a look at this button lock here. You have a recessed spot so you don't accidentally disengage. You got a little bit of texture so you don't slide off of it. And you have to go below that recessed spot to disengage this blade. Yes, nice solid lockup. I've never really had an issue with any of Civivi's button locks. Now for some quick size comparisons, we have the Civivi Elementum, the Civivi Utility Blade. The Elementum's a good bit larger and the Utility Blade just a hair longer. And it's identical in length to the Beg Knives Microburst and the Victorinox Cadet. Next, a little bit shorter than the Spyderco Little Native, and it's a little bit longer than the Civivi Baby Banter. And lastly, it's dwarfed by the Ontario Rat Model 2, and it's just a hair longer than the Spyderco Dragonfly 2. Nitpicks, complaints, the only thing I really wish I would have seen is I wish they would start bringing their plunge grinds all the way to the back so I could have all this room to sharpen other than just half of it. But other than that, the Pragma comes in at $60. I don't think that's all too bad. You get Nitro V blade steel, super slicey aluminum scales. Of course, you got that carabiner on the back with the bottle opener. It just depends on if you think this would be useful or not. If you go hiking a lot, this would be great just to hook to your belt loop, backpack, great for an EDC pouch. And I gotta tell you, I ended up liking this way more than I ever expected. I didn't even think I would personally like this at all. I was kind of upset that they sent this to me at first. But after I tested it and saw the performance, how lightweight it is, and how easy it is to carry, it's definitely grown on me. So if you're interested in this one, it'll also be linked down in the description. Now this is the Syncut Cybrix. I'm going to do a separate review on this, but I'll give you some quick specs. You have a total length of 8.1 inches, 3.46 inch drop point blade of 9CR18 MOV stainless steel. It's around 16 thousandths behind the edge. This is a flat grind, versatile blade shape. You have aluminum scales that feel pretty darn good in hand. We do have a little bit to talk about there. But like I said, I will do a full review on this one very soon. It has a nice smooth button lock and the action is incredible on this knife. You have a tip up deep carry reversible pocket clip. And yeah, it's a nice full-size folder. These come in at $47 and I definitely think these are priced accordingly. If any of these knives interest you, check the links in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss any of my content. Until next time, keep those blades sharp and peace.